typical winter day in France, man. Cold, snowing, icy. It's funny on the movies, you think all the time, but it's over here that it's sunny and real beautiful, but from like November to usually March, it's pretty foggy and gloomy. So you gotta keep your spirits high, man, or you'll be in a bad mood. But it's cool, you know, they had a Christmas lights and different things like that, so it's real festive. But you know, it's not as much sunlight, so you might go a week or two and there's no sun outside. And coming from college in Tennessee, man, that was difficult at first. You know, my first year I played in Australia, so I mean, it's nothing but sun out there. It's amazing, you know, you can see all the stars at night. The skies is super blue. But when I came to France, it was real nice as well. But once the winter hit, it's tough. You'll be in these gyms and it's like, you'll be in these gyms and it'll be like 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and you have to practice because sometimes there's no heat in the gym. We had these little space heaters to heat up a huge arena. So it's tough because you're so stiff and just mentally, it makes you have to be super mentally tough. And you have to block it out or you're just gonna be playing bad. So that's just what it is. But it's all really about your work ethic, man. If you're one of those type of people that, if you're a fair weather player and you know, you're a complainer, and as soon as one small thing ain't right, then you're gonna have a tough time. You know, not even just being a professional, but playing good in high school. There's gonna be some adversity. There's gonna be some haters. There's gonna be some cold practices if you come to Europe, or probably even if you play up north in the United States. But these are things you just gotta play through and keep working, man. That's the key. Because you never know when your opportunity is gonna come. St. Louis, man. I mean, it was a good upbringing. I mean, I had both of my parents, and which is really a blessing. You know, it's been hard for a lot of people, you know, because they don't have both. But my parents stick together. They've been together for over 30 years, and I learned a lot from them. And I didn't know how much I learned from them until I became an adult, and I become like many of them, you know. So it's cool. You know, my dad was one of those dads who came to every basketball game, and which was different because, you know, he didn't live in town with me, you know, in college. You know, so he would drive home after every game and go to work. And if I had a game on Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, he was at all of them. You know, probably 80-90% of my college games, and quite a few high school games as well. So my mother, she's very intelligent. She's the sweetest person that you could ever meet. You know, so if my mom was upset at you, you did something really bad. I mean, she has 4 or 5 master's degrees, something like that. So, I mean, she's very well educated, the smartest person I know by far. If she doesn't know the answer to something, she'll figure it out within 24 hours, no problem. But, you know, I got the toughness and the work ethic from my father, and my mom works hard as well, but, you know, I got the laid back side of me from her, you know, knowing how to relax and the spiritual side from her.
I think a big thing for Drake is, you know, who he surrounds himself with. Obviously coming from a great family, mother and father, and his brother, who really kind of keep him grounded. But he always kept himself around positive people and reached out to those people that could give him positive information, that would give him constructive criticism. And he embraced that criticism and he used that. So great family. He surrounded himself with good trainers, good family around him as well.
It was kind of nerve-wracking as a kid coming up, you know, because he taught me to play basketball, and he was really hard on my brother and I. You know, I mean, countless hours in the backyard, it'd be 100 degrees outside, and he's challenging us to you know, keep going and keep working. And, you know, you're a kid, you start to cry, and he's like, man, I don't care if you cry. You know, you better man up.
He don't want to talk to his dad after he have a bad game, so he know his dad gonna call him, and he see the number when he call. Every time he see it after his bad game, he just be like, dang, man, what he got to say, man? He don't never want to hear what his dad got to say, cause he say his dad come on like, hey man, what you doing, man? You gotta get it going on, man. Hey.
Now that I'm a man, there's no other man that can instill fear in me, you know, at all, because I had to experience his wrath, you know, as a kid. So it made me a lot stronger individually to be able to hold my own and to be able to know at a moment's notice, you know, I have to raise my level, you know, on the court or even out off the court.
I think that really helped him get to where he at today. His dad being hard on him and just holding him accountable for when he's not playing good. He let him know that he's not playing good, and I think he really take that to heart and try to come out the next time, play hard.
I look back on it now and laugh because, I mean, wow, who would ever thought that what he was doing would prepare me to be able to live, you know, in all these different countries and be able to hold my own. You know? And my brother was also taking care of me for a while as well, because, you know, I had to leave St. Louis, you know, when I became a teenager, and I stayed with him for a few years, and he was my guardian for a little while because he gave me an opportunity to you know, to be in a good situation for sports. So, you know, he was there and took me to the next level.
Drake is just really, man, he's a special kid. He's really continued to make strides every year. His unbelievable work ethic, his character on and off the floor, his unselfishness, his attention to detail has really helped him throughout the years. He's been a great role model, not just for you know, his teammates, but also for the younger kids in the community here in Clarksville.
I think what Drake exhibits for kids is a couple of things. One, work ethic. You can hear stories about how as a player he was built to play one position but asked to play a different position. And what you see in him is, okay, I'm not designed to be a 3 or a 4, but that's what my team needs for me to do, so he worked hard at that. And he talks to the kids about having a work ethic and honing their craft, and getting good at handling the ball, getting good at shooting the ball, getting good at post play. Not because they're just talented or just athletic, but because they go out and work for it. I think he also taught the kids they've got to have a faith in God. And I think we miss that sometimes. People gain success and they forget to tell others exactly how they got it, and they leave God out of the equation, but Drake doesn't.
It was better for me to go to Tennessee and make the move because my brother was going to college out in Clarksville, and he said, man, you know, you can come here and blow up, man, and be a big fish in a small pond. So when he told me that, you know, my brother was very instrumental in convincing my parents that he could take care of me, and that I would do well there. And since I wasn't a kid who really got in trouble a lot, you know, and I made decent grades, my parents were open to the idea. But you know, one day I was just 14. And one day I just told both of my parents, look, I'm going to Clarksville. I'm gonna get a Division I scholarship, and I'm leaving. Like, and for me to say that at 14, looking back on it, that was a pretty bold statement, but I knew what I had to do. When you're a professional, man, you gotta have the right foods in you. And you know, I remember when you're younger, like in high school, when you start off college, you really don't take breakfast seriously. You skip breakfast all the time, and just eat lunch at school. Over time, you know, over the course of the season, your body will break down because you're not putting the right foods in. You know, high school, you eat Tony's pizzas uncooked fries and stuff. And, you know, as a kid, you really don't understand that those things are tearing you down. It's really why it's a big obesity problem now. But, you know, as you get a little older, college, you know, the professional definitely, you know, you need a real diet. So I've been on a diet since I was probably 20, 21. Went to Hammer Body's Custom Fitness in St. Louis where I was born and raised. And got with Coach Hammer, Tony Wacko, guy named Jamie, and it got me right, man. You know, just little small things like eating the right kinds of breads. You can eat a bunch of wheat bread or white bread, but you don't really understand that all those, you know, it's too much sugar and it's not so healthy for you. So start eating multi-grain bread instead of eating a candy bar. You know, you get a banana or apple, kind of fruit. That way you get the good sugars in your body, not something that's been made in some laboratory somewhere. Because it's all vital to your success. Well, when I got to college, I started having some weight problems with myself. I was like, man, I'm working out 2 or 3 times a day in the off season. I'm still, you know, pushing 240. You know, and at my height, you know, I could play at 240, but as far as in a few years, you know, you don't want to go from being 240 to 250 or 260, and not at my height. So I was like, man, I have to get this weight under control. So I started going to Hammer Bodies, and they put something together for me, and man, I lost 15 pounds, man, in like 2 weeks. It's just like it just was shaved off of me. So we had so much more energy. You know, my vertical went up, you know, like 4 or 5 inches. And, you know, I was so much stronger, and I was doing different kinds of lifts instead of doing all the big Olympic heavy lifts. They were teaching me other things, and I was much stronger from doing core workouts and stuff like that. And that's why I was able to go from just really an above average athlete to a pretty good one. If you start off the season kind of slow, or you're not one of the top options on your team, or whatever, these are things that a lot of people get upset about. But if you're not working out, there's going to be a time where somebody gets in foul trouble, or goes down with an injury, or you just wide open that game. But if you have been practicing and training, you're not going to be ready to knock those shots down or make an impact in the game. So that's part of it. You always got to be ready to stay at the top of your game.
You know, Drake, I love training Drake because as a trainer, he makes you better. He makes you the passion that he brings to the workout. He pushes you. You know, I was telling my son the other night how the first 10 minutes of a workout in stationary ball handling, we got to get a towel because he's dripping sweat in the first 10 minutes of doing ball handling. So, unbelievable workout.
When I started high school, I was 5'9". And when I moved to Clarksville, halfway through my freshman year, I was 6'3". And by the end of that year, I was 6'4". So I really shot up that freshman year, and so I was really skinny. And you know, nobody really believes me now because I'm really thick. But at that time, man, I was so weak. Like just putting 45 on each side of the barbell on the bench press, man. I had struggled to do it. Guys used to make fun of me all the time. I'd be the weakest guy on the team. I'd be the slowest guy on the team on running suicides and sprints. And you know, guys used to clown me. Like, it took me a while to start dunking. I was a very late bloomer.
Drake was a gym rat. He was. Drake wasn't super athletic. Wasn't as fast as anybody or anything like that, but I think his work ethic kind of took him over the top to be the player that he was here. You know, some people think that they're really, really good. They don't work on the game. I think Drake he was trying to get better each and every day. He was one of those guys that you didn't have to worry about getting into the gym. If you walk out to go to the front office, Drake was usually in the gym working on something. Sometimes he was working on some things he shouldn't be working on, but but he was out there working, and I can't say that with a lot of the guys.
So it was tough, but I just made up my mind. A teammate of mine, Thomas Fafa, and I, we decided at one point, man, we're tired of being called unathletic guys who were slow and can't run and jump, and man, we got together, one summer going into our senior years, man, and just put in so much work in the weight room.
What separates Drake Reed from your all-time greats in a lot of ways is he worked harder. Drake was just a workaholic. He took pride in his game. And he also played a position at Austin Peay, or positions, the 4 and the 5, that were not his real positions as a player. He was probably a small forward, having to play power forward and center in college.
Unbelievable desire and hunger to want to get better. I think a lot of things we tell kids, a lot of people want to be good, but everybody's not willing to sacrifice the time and energy to be as good as they want to be. And Drake is a guy who made a commitment. He took all that advice that you're given at camps, that your coaches give you, that your parents give you, and he was able to embrace that and take that stuff in and apply it to his life. And that's what makes him special, because he kind of practices what he preaches.
My brother and I, it was like us against the world. We knew what we had to do. We had fun and we joked a lot, but we also, when it was time to handle business, we were all about business. And he was looking to make something of himself. I was looking to make something of myself, and we pushed each other, just like, hey man, this is what we got to do, and we're gonna handle our business.
Anybody would be proud to have Drake Reed on their team. And I don't care if he's playing, if he's on the bench, he's going to outwork everybody else you got. And if you do put him in, he's going to give you everything he's got. So when you've got that quality in a young man and a player, and he is definitely a young man, good family background, he was brought up right, and he's a young man that wants to win.
It's everything. Wow. I had to leave my family, friends, there's parties you can't go to. There's a lot of activities you can't partake in. You have to sacrifice a lot of free time. Your time is not your own if you don't. If you want to be a professional, or not even just a professional, you want to be just a great high school player, you have to put in the extra time. So that means in the classroom, and not just in the classroom. That means you have to study the game, study other people that are great. There's so many distractions now. Well, there's probably always been distractions. As far as video games, and parties, and women, and getting in gangs and different things, you have to sacrifice all those things. And there's a balance, though. There's a balance. You have to find the right balance. You still have to have fun with your life and not be consumed by the game. But if you're not willing to sacrifice what you are, who you are right now, for what you can be at the drop of a dime. Like, if the best opportunity for me was to just leave today, and if it was the best decision for my family moving forward, I would go straight to the airport right now. That's the mindset you have to have.
Well, Clarksville Academy was different because it's a very small school. And it's only I don't even think it's 1,000 students. So it really catered to each individual. You knew all the teachers, they knew you, they knew your families, they knew your situation. So it was good. It was great in that regard. you know, I learned a lot of humility from there. I learned a lot of manners, and I wasn't I never had bad mannerisms, but as far as saying yes ma'am and no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, those were things that I only said like if I was in trouble before. You know, that wasn't really the status quo in my house. But you know, I learned those things at Clarksville Academy, and it made me a more well-rounded individual. And I mean, it was a good experience there. It just unfortunately I wasn't able to stay there because they dropped the football program and let my coach go a few months after my arrival. But my time there was instrumental for me getting my confidence back up. You know, after not getting much playing time, basically that whole freshman year until I got to Clarksville. You know, it revitalized that I was a good player, and you know, it was a great experience for me. So it propelled me into the next step.
I think Clarksville is one of those communities that really gets behind a story. And Drake is a kid that's kind of come through our high school system, stayed local, playing basketball at Austin Peay, and a lot of people took to that story. A lot of kids in our community see other places where kids are becoming basketball stars, and some of them didn't feel like that being in Clarksville they would be able to be seen and get the attention that was necessary in order for them to get to that next level. And Drake was a kid that really showed others in the community that yeah, you can be in Clarksville, you can go to a school like Austin Peay, but if you blow up your spot, do what you're supposed to do there, that you can achieve success and have some greatness. And I think a lot of kids in our area see that.
Playing for Coach Cooper, man, was great. I mean, he took me to a whole other level. You know, after my dad trained me as a kid, you know, Coach Cooper just turned me into a monster. My whole high school coaching staff, all of them were all-conference players in college. You know, my assistant coach, he led the nation in scoring in high school. You know, he was a good college player as well. My head coach, he was one of the top three-point shooters when he was in college. And my other assistant coach was an all-conference player at Austin Peay. So we had so much knowledge from 15 to 18, just from guys who've done it. You're in practice and a coach is teaching you help side defense or teaching you about screening or using screens and you know, angles and all these nuances of the game. But you're talking to a guy who's done it. So it takes you mentally to a whole nother level. Basketball was my first love, but I did play football because most of my friends played football, and we used to have these conversations about, you want to compete with your friends, you know, on every angle. So I was a decent football player in my eyes, but I didn't understand at the time, you know, at 6'5", playing receiver, playing safety, that you're pretty much a hot commodity, and teams just off potential are going to recruit you heavily. So, you know, I was recruited very heavily by some SEC and Big 10, Big 12 schools, and I mean, it was great. But I love basketball. You know, I really liked football. It was fun, but I didn't want to cheat myself, and I looked at it like if something was to go wrong in college and football, I would always say, man, I should have just played basketball. But I didn't feel that way about basketball. If I went to a basketball school and I didn't and things didn't work out, I would never look back and say, man, I should have played football. Freshman year in Clarksville, going into my sophomore year, and I did very well. But you know, I wasn't the star on that team, or I wasn't one of the stars on that team. I was just a role player, so I couldn't really showcase what I could do on that team. So you know, my brother, you know, got a bunch of local guys that were good in our area, and they created these Tennessee Dreams, so that to give us all a better opportunity to get a scholarship. And and it was crazy because you know, it's not like St. Louis. You know, St. Louis has a bunch of AAU teams that go to these national exposure tournaments, but Clarksville at that time, they didn't have any. So this was our first time. I mean, I played AAU before on other teams, but this was my first time actually. And we're going to Houston, we're going to Louisville, we're going to these places where it's 3 or 4 courts and it's the best players in the country, and it's like a meat market. You know, you can see any coach from any school watching your game, and you know, you knew that if you played well, you know, your life was going to change. But I made up my mind. You know, I wanted to go to Austin Peay, you know, early, so I committed to them early. You know, I had a lot of attention from bigger schools. You know, a few SEC schools, a couple of Big East schools, but I just felt like, you know, this team was going to give me an opportunity to play, you know, early, and I didn't want to pass that up and go somewhere and take a chance on not playing, because, you know, those schools were bringing in 4 or 5 guys in my position, and it's like it's hit or miss.
He's so much better on the perimeter. Really paid attention to detail on his shooting. His IQ is so much better, being able to play all positions. And he's willing to understand, you know, the weakness that he has in his game. And every year he adds something different, you know, to his arsenal. So I just think as he continues to work, his work ethic gets better, but his overall skill level is better.
My first year, I mean, I expected to play as a freshman, which I ended up starting after a few games. It wasn't so tough to me. A lot of people think, you know, if you're a freshman that you're not ready to play. I was very ready to play after playing for Al Cooper and being trained by Terry Boykins. So I had my mind set on it. I actually thought it was much easier. I think it's much easier for a freshman to come in and play right away. Because they're used to making plays, they're used to, you know, having the ball in their hands. So you're going right in with your confidence high.
I think Drake's biggest hurdle was coming from high school, the speed of the game. It takes time. It doesn't matter who you are, coming out of high school to get to college. And then, you know, he's so used to finishing over people in high school. In college, it was a little different. You know, you got bigger guys, stronger guys, and a lot of guys that can jump higher than you're used to. So I think that was his biggest hurdle, of trying to figure out how he's going to get his shots and when to get his shots.
What I appreciated about Drake was his night in and night out play. He was pretty consistent. You know, he was an undersized 4 and 5 that had to go against bigger guys all the time, and more times than not outplayed them. Now, when he came up on a guy that had physicality like him and height, then he had trouble. You know, he had trouble inside if a team was loaded with big guys inside. But who wouldn't? Because like I said, he's a 3 playing a 4 or 5.
Having to play the post out of necessity. It was tough at first. Because in high school, I mostly played on the perimeter. I mostly played on the wing and brought the ball up a lot, so I didn't really expect to have to do that when I got to college. But that's what my team needed me to do for us to win. So, you know, I had to just take one for the team and sacrifice some of my ability so that we can win the championship. You know, and lo and behold, we were able to win 2. And we're one bucket away from winning 3 in a row. So it's difficult at times because I was super undersized, but with being undersized in the post, it was an advantage for me because I was so much quicker than guys. And it's helped me as a pro because now that I'm back on the perimeter, there's no guy that's on the wing that's big or strong enough to stop me from getting where I need to be.
You know, you just appreciate how hard he works. And I was in here doing a workout, in the gym doing a workout, and I got a text message. And the text message said, hey, you know, T, man, I just made the AP All-American team after his 10th grade year. After his sophomore year in college. And just to see how hard he worked and seeing him kind of reaping the benefits of that and kind of, you know, shining after he's worked so hard and the time that he sacrificed in the gym just was a good feeling.
Now, when we think of all-time greats at Austin Peay, there's fewer all-time great teams, but we have had a tremendous amount of talent. And of course, it all starts with James Fly Williams. He sort of sets the barometer, and everybody else falls under him. But let me say this: if James Fly Williams had have had Drake Reed's heart, his mind, his work ethic, his physicality, James Fly Williams would have been the greatest guard in the history of the game.
I mean, it was cool winning Player of the Year as a sophomore. I got a lot of national exposure and notoriety for it. But you know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. To be named the MVP as a sophomore, it's not usual. So the next year I went from being the golden boy to to one of the most hated players in the conference. So some of the teams we were playing against, guys would send me emails talking about how they're going to dominate me and dog me and whoop us, and I never had experienced that before. But it was funny. But you know, it's definitely a huge responsibility to make sure you go and work on the right things in the off season, because once you're at the seat at the head of the table, man, you can fall. So you have to bring it every day, every practice. Your work ethic has to go through the roof.
Yeah, Drake was very, very coachable. He was one that would try it, you know, even though it might not work the way that he wanted to work, but he would at least try it. He was one of those guys also that if you tell him to do something, he would go out and do it.
Defensive movement, even to today, most of the defensive techniques, the mindset that he taught me and teammates of mine in college, I still use today. And it's actually made me a much better defender as a professional.
Reed, he just puts the team on his back and just keeps on trucking. What a night he is having. This may be one of the best individual performances I've seen all year.
Yeah, man, it's just me today. You're gotta get this lunch together. You know, see nothing but vegetables, lean meats, turkey. This type of stuff you gotta eat, man. After a tough morning practice, you know, or even a light morning practice or whatever, you have to feed the machine. So it was an adjustment. Like when I was younger as a kid, you want to eat like McDonald's and Burger King because it tastes better. Well, no, not necessarily. It doesn't taste better, but because it's easy. But it does nothing for you. You know, you'll still be hungry, but eat these type of foods, fruits and vegetables, and you cover all the food groups. It tastes 10 times better, and you feel way better, man. Improves your stamina and your endurance. So, you know, just come in here and get everything squared away. Take a little ice bath to heal your legs up, heal your arms and everything up from getting beat up all season. Because in France, I mean, they say it's a 10-month season, but it's really 10 and a half, close to 11 months, depending on how much you win in the playoffs. And then you have preseason as well, so you don't play as many games as other leagues, but you know, the wear and tear of just practicing every day is tough. It'll wear you down. So you have to be responsible every day, man. You don't eat the right foods and you're constantly out partying and, you know, drinking and smoking and stuff, man, that can really hurt your career. Not when you're young, but you know, once you get a little bit older, it can slow you. You can hit a wall, and it's over.
Drake is a very good guy. First of all, very good teammate. He's a very aggressive player. He's strong. He causes a lot of problems on for the opposing team, and just having him on my team, I know it's a big chance that we can go out there and win every game with him on my team.
First thing, he played with a lot of energy. He rebounded the ball, lot. Yeah, he's really confident on his shot. Really confident. So he will never refuse a shot. And he played to win. First of all, he played to win. So yeah, as a player, I know he plays the three this year. He played the three on his. It's a good thing for him. Yeah, if he want to go to the next level, it will be at the position 3.
Playing for Women's Valley, I mean, he's an energetic guy. I mean, he's a defensive-minded coach as well. He's very determined. One of the hardest workers I've ever seen as far as watching game film, studying, and wanting to become better. He's a young coach. I mean, I think he's just 34, 35 years old now, and I've been with him for 3 years, and he's gotten better and better each year. So I fully expect, that he's gonna have a great coaching job in the near future.
First of all, it's not difficult to coach US player. Maybe for other coach, but for me it's not difficult because there are examples for the other players because they work harder than our local player. For me, except 2 or 3 local players who practice really hard. They practice really hard. They really listen to the coach. The other too, but it's another mentality,
Looking back on it, it's kind of fun, kind of funny, but it makes you understand when someone comes to the United States that, speaks Spanish or another language and they're struggling. We tend to give people a hard time. Say, you in our country, you have to speak our language. I've only ran into that maybe once or twice in 3 years of playing abroad, but a lot of people, they know you and they work with you, or they're interested in speaking to you. They'll actually start studying English so they can speak to you. So that's a big help for a lot of places you go. And it makes you look at the world completely different. Like when I first got here, I thought it was hard to learn French. I thought it was hard to learn another language. But if you're on a team with guys who can speak 4 or 5 languages sometimes with no problem. It's funny because you run into people over here that speak better English than some folks at home.
Yeah, say for instance, I have a couple bad games in a row. I can't just come home and have my friends or my family to talk to about the game. I got to be strong-minded and really just stay focused on why I'm here, because I know I can play. So if a couple bad games happen, I just got to be strong-minded about it and continue to stay focused and come out and play good for the next game.
I say you age in dog years when you overseas, because there's no comfort zone. When you're in college, it's a lot of people. It's a nest around you that can protect you from different things. If you get in trouble, or if you miss a class, or small things. If there's problems at home, but over here, that doesn't exist. Not for a professional. So you have to, and you can't call home. You can't call home and be like, this is going on, that's going on, because a person at home, whether it be a parent or a cousin or whatever, they'll tell you how they would deal with it, but it's a completely different mindset over here. Completely different. When people talk about, we have a Western way of thinking, and either you're good or you're not, that type of mindset, growing up under that's a lot of pressure for a lot of kids, and it tells them if they're not good right now, that they're nobody. And that's what a lot of kids are hearing. But you come to some of these other countries, like I get in a bad mood when I lived in Australia. I get in a bad mood if I had a bad game, or I wasn't so sharp in practice, and guys be like, hey, Drake, no worries, mate. It's too easy. And when you're at home in the U.S. and
you have a bad practice, people be looking at you like, yeah, man, you messing up.
There's more talent in the States, obviously, but here you gotta learn how to run a system. You gotta learn how to play with other players, and it's not all the way one-on-one basketball. We take that one-on-one basketball is big where we're from, and here it's more of a team, more of a system. You gotta learn how to play with other good players.
Having a true system built around your best players, it's very team-oriented. You know, if you see teams from like Lithuania, Serbia, Russia, those guys are very skilled players. But when you come further west, when you get closer to Spain, France, these countries, they have a lot of skilled players too. But I would say France is different because they have the bigger, stronger athletes, like in the United States. Most of the guys are from the Caribbean or from Africa. So, I mean, you're playing against thoroughbreds every night.
You don't want to win. You're not the warrior. When you don't play with energy, you will never do things. So for me, the priority when you're on the most important things is to play with heart and to play with a lot of energy.
A lot of times when we look at guys, and especially guys we feel like should be in the NBA or whatnot, we're like, man, how did the guy average so many points in high school or college and come over here and average like 10 or 12? Well, that's because the game, the whole team is not built around you. Over here, they believe in you have to have 10 guys who can play. And they're not going to overplay anybody. So you can have Kobe Bryant on your team. Kobe's going to play 25 minutes a game. He's just going to have to be efficient in that time frame. They're not going to run a whole lot of sets just to feature anybody. So just naturally, your numbers are not going to be the same, but you know they still vitally important to have 10 good players over here. So it makes your career last a lot longer because you're not constantly having to pound it on your legs.
Every game, he go out there and he plays his heart out for his team. Every night, he think about if he had a bad game, he sit there and think about why he had a bad game, and the next morning he right in the gym, getting shots up, working on the things that he thought he didn't do good in that game. So I say he's a very determined guy, and he want the best for himself.
I look at him and I look at guys at that, you know, in the league, and you know, I can see him playing at 2 guard. I can see him being able to shoot the ball. I can see him handling the ball. His IQ is high. He's going to compete at a high level every night. So I think he's going to eventually get that shot.
2 years ago, he has a coma, you know, during the game, and he was punched. He was knocked out on the floor, and he was stopped by the medical staff during 6 weeks. And when he was not ready to play, but he was 6 weeks after his coma. But he was with his jersey, you know, ready to play the game. And we lose the game. Me, I didn't want him to play. I said it before the game, this game you will not play, you will come back next week. So I said, okay. And we lose the game by 20 points. And during after the 2 quarters, he came and he said me, Coach, I want to play. I talked to the doctor, he said, yeah, if you want. And he came on the court and we won the game. And since this day, I'm not consider Drake really different. You know, I know that he is a warrior and he is ready to die on the court for the jersey, for his teammates, for his coach, for the basketball. So, as a person, this story sums up everything about Drake.
To go through all the mentoring and the training with different coaches and different trainers. I mean, it's the Eiffel Tower behind it. I'm over here. So, and what the crazy part about it all is I've seen about 20 countries now. Been to Italy, been to Australia, Croatia, Hungary, Belgium, France, Bahamas, Mexico. Man, those are just off the top of my head. And there's so much more that I can see just because I took basketball seriously. So, I mean, it's important just whoever is teaching you something to take what you can from it because you never know what it can lead to.